Good morning and a warm welcome to all of you. Schools are now open, theaters are open, and even international flights have resumed. Now, it seems that the world is returning to pre COVID times slowly and steadily. Even so, the lessons from the pandemic have not been lost, and some changes are here to stay, not just because it's become a habit, but because we have derived a benefit from the change. Now, every company is in the race towards transforming into a digital first organization. The biggest focus is on improving productivity and profitability through automation of manual work so that resources are freed from workforce management challenges such as misfit hirings, absenteeism, productivity loss, scheduling errors, and more. Today, smart companies are looking at minimum input and maximum output business strategy in order to achieve economies of scale. According to HR.com research, companies who implement workforce management solutions will see, on an average, 6 to 10% cost saving and a multifold improvement in their administrative efficiency. Through this webinar, TeamLease aims to have an insightful discussion with experts and industry leaders on how to build trusted and reliable workforce management solutions and how to measure its impact. I'm the host for this webinar. My name is Anisha Nayar-Dhawan. And please join me in welcoming our esteemed speakers who are joining us for this discussion. Please welcome Mr. Praveen Tarwar, Chief Technology and Digital Officer at Credence, Mr. Chakrapani Priyadarshan, Vice President Workforce Effectiveness at SBI Cards and Payment Services Limited, Ms. Aditi Gupta, Associate Director, HR at Fab Hotels, and Mr. Jayatirth Mirji, Vice President Technology at TeamLease Services Limited. A warm welcome to all of you. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thanks, Anisha.
Thanks, Anisha. Good morning, everyone.
So before we jump into this discussion, I'm going to give a quick introduction of all our speakers. Mr. Praveen Tanwar is a digital transformation practitioner with 20 years of IT and management experience, transforming teams by introducing new ways of working, streamlining digital practices, establishing highly productive DevSecOps teams are some of his areas of expertise. He has previously worked in companies such as Policy Bazaar, HCL Tech, LeasePlan India, Car Deco, and Infosys. Mr. Chakrapani Priyadarshan comes with rich experience in new emerging markets and process establishment, strategic planning, operations management, vendor partner management, and statutory compliance. He is an expert in running and establishing new business operations at country and global level. Ms. Aditi Gupta has proficiency in transforming HR processes and policies for effective business functioning. Her areas of expertise include recruitment and selection process, with an additional role in client servicing and relationship management. She has previously worked in leading companies like Jubilant Foodworks, Cars24, and Green Thumbs. And Mr. Jayatirth Mirji is an achievement-driven leader with over 20 years of IT experience, and he is proficient in strengthening companies to lead in highly competitive situations. He has previously worked in leading companies such as Infosys and Publicis Sapient. So today we're going to talk about workforce management and what are the solutions that are available today, how life has actually changed for the HR department. So Aditi, let me start with you. Now, many organizations are embracing hybrid workforce productivity, and performance management has become quite crucial, especially when we were all, working from home, and it's still somewhat hybrid these days. So how can organizations ensure their performance management processes are at par to achieve organizational goals, and what role does digital technology play?
Okay, so hi everyone. Anisha, thanks for the lovely welcome. I think this pandemic has been a reality check for a lot of companies. And though as companies, we always agreed that there is a requirement of automation at work, but it just got real when COVID actually hit us. The intent has now become very clear for companies that this is the need of the hour. With many companies adopting hybrid work culture, I think technology is needed now more than ever. And to have an effective PMS in place, I think what's most important is to choose the right technological solution that can have a major influence on our ability to perform our best. The right tools can help us stay informed about how employees are performing and where they can improve. However, monitoring progress towards goals and OKRs alone is not good enough. It has to be combined with having one-on-one connect sessions with employees, obviously with the use of technology, to know how they are developing in their own areas and to have more effective outcome, on their performance. So yeah, I think yes, technology do play an important role, and PMS is something which has to be the prime focus for every organization, especially in the hybrid work culture. I hope I've answered your question.
So Aditi, what you're saying is tech without the human interface is not worthwhile. Even though you have solutions, you need to have the human touch to be able to have an effective, outcome of the goals that you've set, right?
Absolutely. We are human resources. I think how can we remove human from automation?
Right. So just a reminder to the audience that, we have speakers here with years of experience, and they're going to be sharing their expertise with you. If you have any questions, do type them in the Q&A box. We'll be taking our questions towards the close of this session around 10:45. But please do type in your questions as and when they come to your mind. Don't wait till the absolute end of the show. So what Aditi said was that, technology is playing an important role even in the HR function at a time when we are looking at hybrid work. Mr. Takapani, would you tell us how technology has affected your organization? What are the smart digital products that are emerging in your business to address workforce management challenges? When hiring, onboarding, employee management, learning, payroll, there's so many things that HR has to do. So in your organization, what has been the effect of and the usage of technology?
Yeah, so thanks for the welcome and good morning, everybody. The discussion, what we are actually going through, this has very, very relevant points. So here, I should say the expectations are actually getting changed very, very fast. And especially in the era where the millennials, they are actually coming in and they are not expecting that they should only get the good salary. What they want an infrastructure ecosystem where the technology is there and they are dreaming, not dreaming for buying a good car, luxury car, or investing in home. Actually, they are looking forward for something which should come and make or create one more unicorn, right? So this is the topic is actually getting supported with the growing economy or the environment which is there. So fortunately, pandemic is there, but parallelly we have a booming economical situation. Here, just to attract those talents, right? Just to onboard those talents, we have to introduce so many technological, platforms. So ERP-based solutions are there. We have intranet, where we have to, engage people through the different chatbots. Onboarding is not that traditional earlier, record keeping thing where, we used to keep everything, all the detailings there under the record. But now onboarding is so quick, so fast that where you have to understand that what type of talents are coming in and how to retain them, how to engage them, how they should create a directory where they can internally, pass on their ideas. So just getting those talents, in is not sufficient, but satisfying their expectation is something which is very, very important. So here today, we are using cloud-based solutions are there. If we talk about their learning, the time-based LMS learning matrices are there where they have to go with the specialized or some specific type of assignments what they have to complete to match with the expectation of the organization, and parallelly what they are doing. So earlier what was happening that yes, everything was classroom or based on different type of physical appearance, face-to-face involvement, but now it has taken a different shape where different type of Oracle-based solutions are there in the market. Different cloud-based solutions are there in the market. So actually for the onboarding, for engagement, digital platforms, these type of solutions we are providing. We are trying to put there in place. And in fact, this is the industry practice which is everybody is following.
Mm-hmm. Right. So what Mr. Priyadarshan and Aditi have told us is that, people have reacted to the COVID situation when they're going to forcefully have to go and undergo some digital transformation. What Mr. Priyadarshan is saying that, this is the need of the hour, even if we are beyond the pandemic. But Mr. Tamil, one question that is coming to me is that Mr. Priyadarshan mentioned that for millennials, being technologically savvy is very important. Could then I imply that if a company is not offering this kind of engagement, this kind of efficiency, the smoothness in HR functions, then perhaps it loses out on getting the right kind of talent. Would you put two and two together like this, Mr. Tamar?
Yeah. So, like these are the essentials. It's like if we are asking for some intranet or some training services and all. So these are essentials. But I'll take a cue from what Aditi was also mentioning, and also what Mr. The skills that are changing. We are changing them rapidly. So it's not only that hiring up of a resource or that will take up time, but again, to retain them, we have to always think of their career progression, their upskilling, and all those things. So the technology sector and all these are changing rapidly. So yes, these HR solutions, these are the basics. This should be omnipresent. Many organizations have taken up some decades back, but the startups, there is second or third generation of, or even the fourth or fifth generation of these tools, and these are emerging and these are evolving much faster. So, but I think there is a bigger holistic approach that we have to take to when we talk about employees and all. So, COVID has taught us a lot of things when we talk about employee engagement. And it's not only about what exactly we are doing right now, but we have to plan for future. The things in this era are changing so fast that whatever we are doing today, 2 years down the line, that might not be relevant. So we have to constantly think of a plan, the long-term part. How exactly, what is the long-term investment? How we would be working maybe say 3 years, 5 years relevant for the longer time. So for that part, actually, I think that organization should invest in that upskilling part, and that should be a structure that we should find out how exactly that is there. If the organization is thinking of that in upskilling and all, then I think they acknowledge two facts, very important. First is that there is a skill gap. It might not be the immediate skill gap. It could be the long-term skill gap. Like Amazon has done it in a great way. Mr. Priyadarshan was mentioning about cloud computing. So we have seen that in '99, when people were thinking of Amazon as a online bookseller, they invested heavily in cloud computing, and we know how exactly they have proceeded. And the rest is a history. So along with all these HR solutions, engagement tools, there should be a dedicated focus how exactly we are focusing on the skills and how we are taking them forward.
Truly, upskilling and career progression are important facets for employees, for them to feel that their time is worthwhile, to give them the motivation to keep doing the best. But all of you have raised very important issues. Aditi spoke about onboarding people smoothly. We had Mr. Chakrapani speaking about cloud solutions, and how we've had Mr. Tamar talk about learning and development and upskilling. Now, Jaitik, every organization has unique expectations, requirements, and demands, and we've gone through what our speakers, we've already heard them talk about the different facets of just the HR department. Now, selecting HR software cannot be this one-size-fits-all approach, right? Every company is different. Every company has a different requirement. What are the best practices to follow when selecting HR software that is best suited for businesses? And why this is important is because HR is just one function. There is a digital transformation happening across the company. So to align it with what is happening in the other processes, how critical is that? And then how do you do it? There's so many different things being digitized, different vendors, integration. These questions also come up. So what's the best practice when you want to select an HR software for your company?
Very good question, Neeta. See, imagine two different organizations. And one is a very big organization with geographically distributed workforce across many states, with diversity in terms of education background, languages, and many job types, including some of them are back office jobs, some are foot on street jobs, right? And another company which is probably a startup company which has like 50 or 100 employees working in more or less in the same location. So when they are selecting the HR software for their organization, the needs are very different, and you need to be cognizant about what is your laundry list of things that you want to checkbox. What is critical success factor for you? So you need to ensure, for example, we are a very big organization, right? So we have more than 2.5 lakh associates that are deployed across various clients, being a staffing company. So we need to ensure that from hiring to exit, the life cycle of the employee are managed very effectively, right? To support the large numbers, right? So I'll just quickly address some of the key elements into that, right? So hiring process, right? So unlike a small organization, hiring process needs in our organization, and in fact in our clients' organizations, which we support, are very large and dynamic, right? So monthly, there are thousands of open positions are there we need to fulfill. So we need to ensure that we have some smart modules within our HR tech that can accelerate your hiring process, right? We cannot afford recruiters reaching out to unfiltered candidates and wasting a lot of time, right? Do we have mechanisms to quickly filter the candidates that are relevant for the jobs and the location and the type of conditions that you have, the person has a bike or not, right? The language, whatever is the constraints or the requirement that you have, do you have the right tool to filter it out so that we can quickly convert those open positions into fulfilled positions, right? So this is an important process, right? So another element is onboarding. Again, large scale onboarding, right? Once you select a candidate, right? So you need to onboard, right? In pre-COVID eras, the person comes, submits their documents, and then we check them, give them an ID card and all, right? So now in the hybrid environment or in virtual environment, in the large organizations, you have to do this onboarding process pretty quick, right? So, we have TeamLease has a digital product, this called digital workforce solution, right? So it has hiring process, onboarding process, attendance time management, leave, exit management, expense management, all those processes-based products are there, right? Product suite is there. So now we digitally onboard almost 10,000 employees every month, including collecting and validating statutory information, banking related documents, information that is relevant for nominations and so on and so forth, ESI, CPF related information. So we need to do it within few minutes so that the employee is productive at the client's place as soon as possible, right? So the offer letter needs to be generated, if not in hours, if not in minutes, within hours. So these are the processes we need to support. So you need to make sure what are your, virtual demands are there, right? So many of our 2.5 lakh associates or employees are there currently deployed over client locations. We need to record their attendance, right? We need to collect their attendance details. But however, many of those things people are not necessarily in the offices, right? So many are in foot on street employees, sales department employees, right? They can mark that. How do we actually track their attendance, right? So we have the DWS product that we have. So it actually gives ability to geo-fence when you're marking your attendance, geo-track your movements, so that the sales plan or the movement plan is actually executed the way that is designed. In addition to that, recently what we had introduced is that we realized that there is still more productivity improvement we can do if we actually add on a face recognition, right? We used to have a selfie based, but we added a face recognition where the person actually goes to that location, marks that attendance, and recognize that person is there, right? So these kind of tools that are relevant for your organization, you have to evaluate. Now, this is only the core HR tech, right? So the additional peripherals, which were just peripherals, are no longer peripherals anymore. So the employee engagement becomes very, very important in this case. What tools do you have to keep the employees engaged, even though remotely the policies, remotely you have to make them available policies, training of information through some sort of mechanisms, whether it is a notification engine, training modules embedded within your HR platform, social interaction platforms become very important. If somebody has questions, knowledge platform, your process documentations, that are easily accessible to the employees based on the domain area that you're working on. So the employee engagement tools that complement your HR tech, which used to be peripheral, become very important. And the last part is about access to information, right? So you have to have AI-based chatbots, right? So that you can actually continuously learn and apply the knowledge that is on the requirement of your clients or associates or employees, right? So through AI-based chatbots to find out whether the information that they need, documents they need, they're available at fingertips, right? So these are the bare minimum criteria. You need to look into that and apply, whether you're a large organization, geographically distributed, localized, virtual only, physical only. Based on that, you need to take a decision whether the product is suitable for you.
All right. So Jayatith has taken us through the laundry list of the HR solutions, the bare minimum that any organization, big or small, needs to have to function smoothly, because this is the need of the hour and this is what is required in today's day and age. Now, I'm going to talk about one of the issues that he's raised about attendance. Now, conventionally, attendance has been a key parameter to measure employee productivity. But now this method is not really one that most companies are relying on in today's changing world, because we're dealing with millennials. So, Mr. Chakrapani, I wanted to check with you, what do you think are some of the best methods to measure employee productivity, considering the new ways of working is not about us, but about the output delivered?
Yeah, so compliments for this intelligent question, because this is something which is very, very relevant when the cost is there. And I think the participants, they will understand that why attendance is and how attendance is related to the cost. But that was a time when the traditional method, where the people, we were sailing the ship, right? So people, they are there, and the achievement was, the goal was for a center. Now this is specific to the individual. So Mr. Praveen said, Jay and Aditi, they contributed. The life cycle is fine. I mean, you are attracting the talents, you are getting them in, but whether they are contributing effectively, whether we are giving them some solution where, this is something which is not required now, where you have to just monitor everybody, looking at the person, whether he is or she is contributing or not. But this is the time where we have to develop some infrastructure which can help us in tracking and monitoring. Where is the person? What the person is doing? How much the person is contributing? There are methods where longitude, latitude, geotagging, everything is available there. Thanks to lots of innovations and lots of development happening there in the global market and Indian market.
Mr. Chakrapani, could you give us some examples on what would the parameters that you would assess for productivity if it's not the number of hours being clocked, and what solutions are available to track these parameters?
Yeah. So earlier, this was a KRA or KPI defined. I mean, we also have that type of solution, which was there. And, believe me, before, 3 or 4 years ago, if you have to find out what is the KRA, you have to just search your mails and search your files to get paid. Today, this is something which is customized. If the balance scorecard is there, then you have the defined areas where how much you are performing and what is the measurement of that performance. And this is the balance scorecard. The people are getting evaluated, right? And that is not specific to the one product. This is completely on behavioral as well as the quantified achievements. So today, the attendance mechanism is something which is actually helping us in, reducing the wastages. Fine. So if we talk about what is the expectation today, that is the customized or flexible attendance mechanism. If we are giving, if unforeseen circumstances are there, we have seen pandemic, we are seeing war also, right? And we have to just to match with the expectation of the market, we have to match with the expectation of the economy. So what to do? We have to create that type of flexibility, and parallelly with the flexibility, as I said, the millennials are different. We also have to create mechanism which can give us, I mean the supervisors, they should know what is going on there, what are the achievements happening. Balance scorecard is what type of results we are getting, and that is gradual, that is building something towards the achievement of the target. It is something which is not achieving the desired target. So as far as the productivity is concerned, Nisha, so this is completely based on not with the number of days people they are there in the system, but it is completely dependent on the contribution. Time on system, time on work is how much, and what is the scale of the contribution. So this is something where I feel that attendance and parallel performance monitoring, so matching both the things, both the ends, will deliver a better result. And believe me, with the help of these digitized solutions, we have seen that close to 20 to 24% reductions are happening there in the cost of different type of different type of companies or different type of industries we talk about. So
right. So Jayati, following up from what Mr. Chakrapani is saying, he's saying that there are solutions for measuring productivity, and there are amazing solutions available. But what works in one company needn't necessarily work in the other, because here the KRS itself could be different. The kind of work being done is different. The place where the employee is working is different. So then how do you pick something that suits you? And can these solutions be customized to what your requirement is?
Definitely, I think so. The HR products that are there in the market, so including the one that we have, right, so DWS products. So I've taken an example of the product that I am with, right? So basically, so it's deployed to more than 2,000 client IDs, right? So maybe that constitutes almost 1,000 corporates across India, around 2.5 lakh associates that are deployed on that, right? So the demands of various organizations are entirely different. So some organization, the recruitment is actually a high intensive product for them. So that is where they want to have high conversion rates, right? So then we actually either we build or we actually embed in our software a complementary product, right, that accelerates hiring. For example, I have integrated a product which actually goes ahead and blasts the jobs across various potential candidates, filters them based on the criteria that we have set up, and it will give us a filtered list. And then I can actually reach out to my clients and say, this is the list I would probably want to go with. So hence I will be able to convert many of those open positions very quickly, right? So similarly, the performance management becomes very important, especially where the sales team order management processes are there, right? Monthly, daily or weekly processes are there. So you need to have a configurability and scalability in the products that can easily support this kind of customizations that customers require. And I think most of the tools are there in the market that are relevantly addressing them, including the ones that we have right now. But that is a critical success factor in the sense, you as an organization, if you're trying to select a product, so make sure that your requirements definitely are going to change in 6 months, 1 year, and all those things. What is important for you right now may not be different for next, right? So you have to have that flexibility in the product that you're selecting. So I think that is
right.
That's an important.
So you need foresight also when you're selecting something on what your company will require in the future. Now, Aditi, our speakers has spoken about how companies need to be ready for the millennials and how we need to be technology ready to be able to engage with them and keep them with us, have them work productively for us. Now, what has come through the COVID pandemic is also that the end consumer wants to engage with companies who they see are sustainable, who they think are inclusive. Now, while we've already heard Mr. Chakrapani talk about measurable benefits in terms of reduced cost for having automation, what about the technology enabling us to be more inclusive? Because it is believed that a diverse workforce, whether it's gender, skills, regions, experience, can capture a larger share of the customer market. In what ways can HR technology support diversity and inclusion? Because these, in the really long term, make a big difference on the goodwill of the brand of a company.
Yeah, I think it's one of the favorite topics for all the HRs, diversity and inclusion. And I think business and HR leaders have recognized that greater diversity and inclusion impacts the company's culture and brand, its ability to attract and retain talent, and obviously its business performance. There have been a lot of studies that have consistently shown us that diverse organizations are more innovative, they have better business outcomes, and obviously are more profitable. So, I think to answer your question, there are, in my opinion, HR technology can be more effective in three HR areas. I think Praveen and Jay have already touched base on this, but I think the three major areas which I can think of is talent acquisition, L&D, and employee engagement, where HR technology definitely can play an important role and definitely improve or support on the diversity and the inclusion part. Technology has a very significant growth area when it comes to talent acquisition. With so many tech solutions available in the market, we can have a very robust and streamlined process in place, which can help us build a more diverse workforce. And obviously, it will also be able to help us avoid any sort of unconscious bias, which may come during the appraisal, which may come during the hiring process. So yeah, technology do have an important role to play when it comes to TA. L&D, of course, because every organization wants skilled employees, and I think something that Jay has already spoken about, Praveen has also spoken about, upskilling our employees. So I think every company has their eyes on upskilling their employees for their own development and the growth of employees. Last but not the least, employee engagement. I think communication is the key to cultivate a healthy culture in the organization. And with technology and many AI tools available in the market, we can have a more engaged and collaborative workforce. So, yeah.
Definitely, very important points being raised. But Mr. Dhanar, I'll come on the L&D part with you again. Now, while Aditi has pointed out that inclusive organizations in the long run will be the ones that endure themselves to customers because of the way they're viewed, and technology plays a very important part, because here you eliminate any kind of bias that anybody may have, because technology, you just put in the algo 1 2 3, they will assess on 1 2 3. There is no kahan se aaye, kya background, all that, the filtering will not be affected by your personal bias. When it comes to L&D, why is it important to have technology? Because the question I ask is, every company says customer is king. We want customers to be delighted. But can you delight the customers if your employee is disgruntled, is frustrated, he doesn't know what he has to do, his skills are lacking? So how does technology leverage L&D? And why I'm asking this is, what are the solutions? Could you talk to us about some which really work? Because we've seen learning happening online class, right? Kids don't want to do their homeworks. Kids can't wait to get back to their classrooms. L&D technology solutions has to be one that stay with us for the future and work, because they work now and will work in the future. What are the good ones available?
So Anisha, it's a very interesting question. So on one side, you have said that, okay, kids are not taking their online classes. But
no, they're taking it, but they're taking it with a huge mountain of salt, and they don't like it. But we, if this has to be a long-lasting one, like all of you have pointed out, you can't pick a solution for now. You need a solution that is going to be long-standing.
The solutions are already existing. If you have seen during the COVID time, so there is an emergence of just-in-time learning. So a lot of us have learned new recipes, cooking skills, and we have just Googled out and seen some YouTube videos, and we have tried out something new during the lockdowns. So we have to take a cue from that. How exactly the learnings are required. So as Mr. Chakrapani was saying, that feet on street, they know what exactly, and Jay also was mentioning, the weekly targets, the daily targets. So the performance appraisal that has gone over from the annual cycle to a weekly or daily part. Similarly, what are the skills required to do this? If I am not able to meet my daily targets or my weekly targets, that means I need some skills. So what are those skills? And whether those are some hours of course or some quick refresher courses. So we don't have to go for a big learning session, or the L&D shouldn't be something that is separately planned out. It should be woven into the entire journey. So if suppose someone is good about selling loans, car loans. Let's take an example of car loans. But to deliver a car loan, he should engage with the customer when the customer is working on the research about a car. So he should know what are the new variants of the car, what are the new models, and so on. So if we can quickly teach the person about the new upcoming variants, difference and all, those could be there. Similarly, for education sector, although we have seen that, kids are not feeling engaged about online class. If it is a monotonous way, the earlier prescribed way when a teacher is just speaking something across the computer. But now there are so many graphical interface through which those learning has become much more intuitive. We don't have to earlier when the computers were there, there was an era when people used to just hesitate that now it is computer and I don't know how exactly learning a computer it would be difficult. But those guys are using smartphones.
Are you saying, Mr. Tamar, that even learning is now gamified? It's not just telling with the computer. And are companies adopting this gamified way of small nuggets of learning and development so that skills keep improving? Are companies adopting this?
Certainly. See, this is the norm. If I have to see a spreadsheet and find out where exactly I stand in that, it might not really make any sense. Again, if it is a good interactive dashboard, certainly it would be much more lucrative. I can see where my progression is. I could see Mr. Chakrapani smiling a lot, and Jay also would be thinking of new features into his tools. But gamification is the key, and engagement. We spend a lot of time on our mobile phones. Why I have to just open up my laptop and find out where my progression is? Similarly, when we are talking about attendance, so the focus is again in tech sector, it has already shifted. It's more about goal oriented. If I can complete my tasks and my goals, I don't bother whether the person is working 8 hours or 10 hours or maybe 4 hours. But we need smart employees and we need smart workers. So that's the key.
And smart solutions as well. So Mr. Jaydeep, with rapid digital transformation in all areas of businesses, how are companies reimagining their people, process, and technology? I'm asking you this because you have an overview of different industries. You deal with so many companies. You have so many clients. Are they ready? Are they reimagining the people, process, and the technology?
I think this is a very relevant question right now. So basically, all the organizations need to define their digital strategy, digitalization strategy, and create a roadmap, a 5-year roadmap, because, and of course, break that down into 1-year roadmap as well and quarterly as well. See, for any organization, it's very critical for converting your business objectives into 3 or 4 categories, right? So one is you will have a growth business objective, right? So you have identified a new area of growth as an organization. So that growth, does it need to be supported by a digital tool or a digital strategy, right? So whether you have to buy that product or have to invest on developing that as an internal product, or you actually outsource and get it developed, right? So you have to make sure that if there is a growth ambition is there, which diversifies your areas, then make sure that you create a plan, a digitalization strategy to actually implement the digitalization tools to support that. So we cannot do it manually. The second part is the margin expansion and productivity improvement, right? So driving the margin expansion through productivity improvement, first of all, you need to model all your business processes, whether it is operations, finance operations, core business operations, compliance operations, or client relationships that cut business processes that cut across between you and your clients. Identify the processes, optimize the business processes, and identify where do I need to automate, right? These effective automation of your business processes will eventually going to give you the productivity benefit and supports your growth. So the selection of making a decision whether I want to resolve that productivity improvement automation requirements, whether I have to take help from a tool which already exists, I can afford to that, or I have to develop that tool with my internal IT team. So define timelines, monitor them, implement those things, make sure that the process get internalized with the new digital tools. So that is going to service for your margin expansion requirements. The third one, again, is about the engagement and retention of your employees. Because I mean, we have covered a lot of engagement because of the virtual world right now. Employees may not connect to your organization to a greater extent. So you need to find out what engagement tools, how to make things do fun for them.
Okay, so Mr. Mirji was talking about engagement. I think we've lost his connection there. But I want to ask our three speakers here. This is the last question before we start the audience question. Yeah. Yes. Thank you, Mr. Mirji. We lost you for a minute, but thank you for weighing in on, how companies are reimagining technology, process, and people. Now, last question to the three speakers, and I want you to give me your quick word on this before we go to the audience questions. How do you think technology will change in the next 5 years? Why I'm asking this, Aditi, because we've spoken about onboarding, L&D engagement. Give me your view, 5 years down the line, what more can technology do in your company in the HR function? Aditi, the question is for you.
Oh, sorry. I'm sorry. Okay, so Anisha, I think the intent has become very clear for companies that technology is something which is the new normal thing for us. We have to now accept the fact that being manual in our processes alone is not gonna work for us. We have to bring automation in place. From a productivity standpoint, I think 5 years down the line, I feel that companies would be able to retain the employees better and would be able to cultivate a better culture in the organization, which honestly was not a target or was not something which was a pain point for companies maybe 5 years back, but something that we have now accepted, that productivity alone will not only come from profitability, it will come from employees. And technology has to work hand in hand in order to ensure that the employees are satisfied enough to work in the organization. So yeah, that's what I feel that, yeah.
All right, Mr. Tambar, 5 years from now, what will technology change in terms of HR in your company? What do you foresee?
I'll tell you from tech perspective first, and then let's dive into the HR perspective. So, when we are talking about automation, so a lot of job roles will change. When I talk about tech side, I'll make a statement, and maybe it could be over the board, but right now, bots and automation, those are helping improve workforce productivity. 5 years down the line, what I see is that workforce, specifically the techies, they would be complementing the bots and improving or refining the bots' productivity. So that will change for sure. Now coming over to the HR practices, yes, what Aditi said and Jay was mentioning, the engagement of employees and all. So that is a constant, because stickiness to an organization, especially when we talk about work from home and all. So the organization has become a virtual concept. There is no more physical presence in the office, and so the emotional connect that we used to have earlier, that is not there. So that personal connect and the commitment, retention, and something that we have to think over how exactly the different engagement tools or the tracking mechanism, or if the organization is enabling someone to achieve their career path. What Jay was mentioning, if the refinement of or recalibration of every year goals and all. But done proactively, I don't see any challenge in an employee sticking with an organization, although the number of years people stick with the organization, that has been reducing much faster.
Right. Mr. Priyadarshan, some crystal ball gazing from your side. I've heard one technologist say that I will have a vice president who will be a bot. So even he will have a designation in the future. Some crystal ball gazing from your side. What happens in the future?
Yeah, so what Mr. Tanwar said, that was starting with the automation thing. So this is the future and intuitive approach. So, intuitive approach is going to save lots of cost. How? Because the solutions dependency is not on the specific department, maybe IT or some other. This is going to help, and collaboration between intelligence with the artificial intelligence, right? This is going to be future. So artificial intelligence, somebody was telling that, yes, so, the relevance of brain will never go away, but artificial intelligence will definitely multiply manifold the productivity, the deliveries of those type of people, that will enhance the knowledge, different type of areas exploration. So definitely it is going to happen in a very dynamic environment, and the competitive environment will come, and their digital platforms, automation, as Mr. Tanwar said, as Ms. Aditi said, Ms. Jai, I think it is going to play a vital role.
All right. Let's now move on to our audience questions, and we have a lot of audience questions that are coming. Himanshu Shekhar is asking, how do we prioritize employee engagement when we have a mix of full-time and part-time employees, or perhaps a mix of on-site and at-home employees? Any of you who would like to take this question? Aditi, would you like to try?
Yeah, I think Himanshu, employee engagement has nothing to do with the nature of employees, to be honest. Whether it is a full-time employee or a part-time employee, I think it's important for the company to look at every employee with the same magnifying glass. And prioritizing employee engagement per se, I think we all just have to look at the red flags, and I think AI is playing a very important role there. That now with so many tools available in the market, you can actually identify which employee is low, which employee is high on energy, which employee is not feeling well in the company, which employee is happy with the appraisal. And accordingly, you can have like a proper customized engagement plan for these kind of employees. So irrespective of the nature of their employment, employee engagement should be a priority for every employee.
Okay, Himanshu, that's one answer. Engagement has to happen no matter where the employees or what kind of employees. We have one question that is coming, and Jayati, I'd request you to take this. A large number of jobs currently are in the gig or temporary economy that require no special skill or knowledge. Do you think there'll be more skilled, specialized roles that will move into these models?
I think yes. So in fact, that is not really in future. Right. So in specialized staffing, many of the, like whether it is telecom or IT sector, there is already a demand and supply for running some of the work in this model. Right. So the gig platform has multiple flavors to the gig model. Right. So one is truly gig, that somebody wants to get complete some activity and get it paid for. That is actually kind of formalization of an informal sector, right? And one of way of doing that is through gig, right? However, the specialized skills, where the requirement of specialized skill could be for a shorter duration based on a delivery of certain things, and it is truly relevant in some of the IT telecom industries, and as well as in other areas also it is coming. For example, in some of the industries where the picker loader jobs are there, instead of just paying and getting paid by hours, but if you improve your productivity and get things done in a large number, and then you get compensated for that. So that demand is there right now. However, the process normalization and the technology normalization in that is still going on, but it's not in future. It is already there, and the sooner we implement and invest in that platforms and technology, it is good for the organizations as well.
Right. Ms. Priyadarshan, a question has come from Ashish Pandey. His question is, how digitization and change management can be done in an organization which operates in the old traditional way?
Okay, so can you please repeat once again, please? I'm sorry.
Yeah. The question from Ashish Pandey is, how can digitization and change management be done in an organization which operates in the old traditional ways?
Okay, so many things are there. For example, earlier we used to assign a task. I'm just giving an example to the individual. Now the ticketing system is there. Fine. So it has some time bound or duration, which is completely mentioned there under the ticket. So digitization type of artificial intelligence involvement, these solutions will make it more effective, and also within the prescribed timeline. So ticketing is one of the examples what I mentioned here. So this is the way which can change the old system. Attendance is the mechanism which I mentioned here. Performance balances scorecard, the measurement scales. These are the examples. These are the way forward, which are actually getting adopted by different organizations.
All right. There is one question which is coming from an anonymous attendee, and Mr. Tanwar, if you could take this. How to deal with a negative co-worker with the help of technology? It seems like technology can solve a lot of issues. So could this also be solved by technology?
Okay, so first of all, what exactly is a negative worker? So if the negative worker is someone who is just asking a lot of questions, or not meeting the target, or has some disciplinary issues, that I think the last two parts, technology already can identify those, and the HR practices already are in place that can weed out or constantly churn out such employees. But if the employee is asking some difficult questions, will not, rather than just marking someone as a negative employee, let's find out why exactly that employee has been asking the difficult questions. Is there not a clarity into this? So when we talk about engagements, let's listen to that employee and understand. So maybe there is a misfit, is not fitting into the organization, or he's thinking of not particular department, he's thinking of something big. So not all the employees are exactly fit into one particular type of workforce that we want to stick to. So rather than just marking someone into negative, the first aspect is the human aspect, whether that person is really a negative or is just asking some difficult questions and that makes him negative. So that part is important, and that cannot be done through technology, fortunately. You have to identify it.
All right. Some amount of human intervention is required, and you need to have the human emotions also, even to make a technology perform in its peak form. Mr. Priyadarshan, one question is coming from Mr. Ashish Verma. His question is how retention of front-end employees, specifically in the BFSI industry, could be addressed. Because here the attrition is more than 25%, and this is giving a big, it costs a lot in terms of planning and, efforts that get wasted in identifying, onboarding, training employees when attrition is so high. So this is specifically for the front-end BFSI industry. If you have any, solutions here.
Yes. So this is a very intelligent question, I should say. This is the problem with all those companies who are into retail business. And a very good clue was given by Mr. Tanwar. Gamification is something which is a good solution for the feet on the street or the people who are front-ending. Attritions are happening because they are not earning their incentives, or they are actually not surviving in the ecosystem. If we have particular planning where the incentive structure is mentioned, that is well narrated, that is handy also, right? Application-based things are there. People are using smartphones. Gamification, where if I have certain target, I know if I'm not able to understand the complexity of the structure, I can easily put my assumed achievements there, and I can plan my earnings and also the performance. And this is the solution where the front-end staff could be addressed. Number two, if the grievance redressal cells, right? The people are more in number. If they are getting addressed properly, if we are not counting them as masses, if we have application-based, maybe the turnaround time could be 48 hours of the reply, but that must be reverted. There should be a very, very strong back-end system where application-based grievances could be escalated to the relevant person, and there must be a mechanism where the escalation should also go up after some certain time period. So I think these are the solutions which can help and the front-end staff retaining their position there and earning good income.
All right. I hope that answers the question, because Mr. Priyadarshan has given a detailed answer on how these issues can be handled. Now, Ashish Pandey is again asking about how background verification can be done by digital tools. Mr. Jayati, would you like to take this? Because I think this is quite straightforward. Your information is seeded around the world. We have so much data, Aadhaar, PAN, or address proof, etc. But how is it done by digital tools? If you could elaborate here.
I think there are 2-3 elements of that BGV is there. I mean, it could be a slightly bigger scope. So one is that making sure the documentation submitted by potential employees are the right documents, right? So we have OCR tools that will extract the information from the documents, make sure that the data provided and whatever the documents are provided are matching, right? So we can electronically we can just validate whatever relevant information, PAN information, bank information, Aadhaar information, the names that match according to the marks cards that are relevant for your criteria. So driver's licenses, you can just match them and conclude some of those things. You also can integrate with the credit score organizations to make sure that that there are APIs that we have already integrated. In addition to that, the BGV organizations, right? So they also extend their APIs. So once you have validated whatever is left over, that you can just integrate with the APIs with the credit, the BGV specific organization and validate what leftover item that you have, just to make sure that everything else is in order. So this can be done in hours nowadays rather than days of validations if you implement the right tools, and there are right tools to actually take care of that.
Right. Last question to you, Aditi. And this question has come in from an anonymous user, I think, and this is about while we're talking about employee engagement, we've discussed how technology helps us. The question is about the human interface. So given that we are seeing the emergence of Gen Z, and we're going to see in every HR function, there is going to be an increase in the human interface. So how can organizations ensure continuity of whatever HR functions are there when there is, when there will be an increase in human interface as well? So technology is going to increase, but you can't just say that अच्छा बैकग्राउंड वेरिफिकेशन अपने आप हो गया तो मेरे को तो बात करने की जरूरत ही नहीं है, परफॉर्मेंस अपने आप कैलकुलेट कर रहे हैं तो मैं क्यों बात करूं? So does it work like that, or do you also increase your the human interface and the touch points?
Yeah, I think the answer to the question is already there in the question, which is you have to just increase the quantum of connect and the engagement with the employees. Number one. Number two, we have to have more customized plans in place. We cannot have a one-size-fits-all approach for the employees. Every employee may have a different problem. Every employee may have a different feedback. Every employee may have a different suggestion. And they may look at one single situation in multiple, phases. So have a more customized plan in place, having more communication with employees. And I think management here has a very important role to play, where something that we do in our organization, having monthly town halls, even if there is very less information to share, this is one practice which we do not let go of, because that is something which every employee looks up for, because they know this is one platform where all the leaders will be available and they'll have one channel to speak and talk about what they are feeling inside the organization. So I think the answer to the question is have more communications, have a more customized plan. And do not look at every employee with the same magnifying glass that, everyone has the same problem. They may interpret one single situation in their own different ways. And I think, communication is what is going to fix problems for everyone.
All right. A big thanks to all our speakers for taking the time out to join us and patiently answering all the questions that have come about in this webinar. We would like to thank our participants also for keeping this as interactive as they have, putting in their questions to our speakers and really taking the best out of them, given the years of experience that they have and the knowledge that they have to share with everyone. Aditi, Mr. Tanvar, Mr. Priyadarshan, Jayati, thank you all for joining us on this webinar to talk about how technology is impacting the HR function and what the future is like. Thank you all for joining us. It's a pleasure to have you with us, and we look forward to interacting with all of you again on this platform to talk about all things HR. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you. Thank you, Anisha.
Thanks, everyone.